my boyfriend slammed the door and left. Again because I came home late from overtime and forgot to clean our cats. Litter box on time. This time I didn't. Run after him. Floating comments appeared before my eyes like subtitles. What's wrong with her? He's right. Outside the door. Hasn't even called the elevator. He's waiting for her to chase him. He already noticed she is low blood sugar earlier. If she just opens that door, he'll immediately rush back to cook her favorite meal. No questions asked. He's just feeling insecure. That's why he's making a scene about the litter box. He just needs her to say, "I love you," and he'd do anything for her. What girl wouldn't want a guy like that? Girl, go after him. He's about to break down crying. Yes, he regretted leaving the second he walked out. He's feeling so guilty right now, probably biting his nails. This is so painful to watch. I was debating whether to open the door and follow him when my phone buzzed with his message. "Sophie, we're done. Pack your stuff and get out before I come back." My bosom tightened and tears immediately welled up in my eyes. Fine. I put my phone away, wiped my tears, and dragged out my suitcase. No, he's being so stubborn. He's dying to come back and apologize, but his pride is getting in the way. This is what insecurity looks like. Exactly. His parents got divorced when he was young, then both remarried quickly. He's been abandoned since childhood. She knows his history. Why is she actually packing her things? His odious pride. When he's angry, nothing he says is real. If she opens that door right now, he'll come crawling back immediately. Girl, don't actually pack. What will he do without you? Nobody loves her more than he does. They've been together since high school, survived 4 years of college together. They were planning to get married after graduation. Don't throw this away. You're everything to him. What about putting the cat? I began packing my belongings, ignoring the floating comments. I couldn't remember how many times this had happened anymore. Every single time he said we're done, he demanded I move out, but every time we made up afterward, he'd act all sweet and tell me he never meant those things about me leaving. I remember the first time Jake made me leave. I was completely panicked and lost that at night. We were supposed to leave for a weekend getaway the next morning, so I stayed late at work to wrap up all my projects properly. I wanted to enjoy our trip without any work stress. Jake thought I didn't care about our getaway at all. Why else would I work until nearly midnight? He wouldn't hear my explanations or consider that I'd come home past 11 p.m. without even eating dinner. He threw my suitcase at me, slammed the door right in my face. Nothing I said through that door mattered. I stood outside starving for half the night. It was already December, and I hadn't even grabbed a jacket before he shoved me out. I was trembling from the cold outside. Jake never once came to check on me. If I hadn't collapsed from low blood sugar and been discovered by a neighbor who banged on the door until Jake came out, God knows what could have happened. That incident terrified Jake, too. After I regained consciousness, he kept making sworn promises to me. "Sophie, I'm crazy about you. When I say cruel things during fights, please don't believe them, okay? You understand, I have trust issues. Just give me the reassurance I need and I'll never lose my temper again." I took his words to heart. So even when every argument afterward ended with him ordering me to leave, I understood he was just lashing out. I knew he was complicated and I knew he had abandonment issues. So I structured my entire existence around making him happy. But right now, I'm genuinely exhausted. 8 years. Every time I swallowed my pride, every time I got thrown out during his angry episodes, I'm truly exhausted. I packed everything quickly and prepared some instant ramen for myself. Something tugged at my ankle. I looked down to see Pudding. As soon as I bent down, Pudding leaped into my lap, Pudding originally belonged to Jake's college junior. The girl lost interest after barely 2 weeks of pet ownership. When Jake brought Pudding home, caring for the cat became entirely my job. Litter changes, baths, vet visits, medications, everything fell to me. Whenever I missed something or was late with care, Jake would give me that cold stare. If you didn't want a cat, why did I bother bringing Pudding home? Sophie, since when did you become so unreliable? And ironically, this latest breakup drama started because I hadn't cleaned Pudding's litter box promptly enough, leaving an odor in our place. While eating my ramen, I checked my phone and noticed Jake's college junior had posted on Instagram, "Kitty Q, my poor homeless senior needs shelter. I suppose I can help him out." Pictures showed half of Jake's face with the liquor at some trendy bar. Poor baby. See how? Even drunk, his eyes are glued to his phone. He's still thinking about her. Don't be upset, honey. He only called his junior to make you jealous. He has zero feelings for her. She's just being used. Absolutely. Look how intensely he's staring at that phone. Send him just one text and he'll transform into your devoted puppy. Before I finished reading the comments, I received a video from an unfamiliar number. In the footage, Jake was resting his head against some woman's bosom, eyes closed. The woman giggled and asked Jake, what if you crash at my place tonight? Think your girl will finally dump you? Jake let out a bitter laugh. I saw her out for a couple days and she'll be desperate to welcome me back with open arms. The woman burst into laughter. So, she's basically a devoted puppy. The kind that never leaves no matter how badly you treat her. I stopped breathing. Then I heard Jake murmur, "Yeah." The video cut off there. I stared down at my bowl of ramen, completely unable to continue eating. So all my caring, all my compromises that I believed showed love to him and everyone else, I was just someone to be summoned and dismissed whenever convenient. Devoted puppy. I examined the ramen in my bowl after cooling down. A greasy film had formed on the surface. That looked revolting. 8 years together, and all I had left fit in one small suitcase. Meow, meow. Pudding seemed to pick up on my emotions and clung desperately to my pants. I wavered for a second, considering I'd been Pudding's primary caretaker this whole year, and Jake probably had no interest in pet care anyway. I decided to bring Pudding along. I reached the hotel around 2 a.m. First thing the next morning, I started browsing rental listings on my phone. In under an hour, I spotted a cozy studio apartment near my workplace. While compact, its proximity to my office would eliminate nearly an hour of daily travel time. When we first graduated, we didn't live in that area, but Jake was impossible to wake up in the mornings. I could barely rouse him each day, and his company had already reprimanded him twice for chronic lateness. I volunteered to relocate near Jake's workplace. Back then, I believed love conquered all obstacles. As long as Jake's life was easier, sacrificing an hour of my daily commute seemed insignificant. Later, after Jake's business took off, he purchased a condo near his office as well. We've been living there for the past few years. Now that I'd moved out, I could finally reclaim all that lost commute time. That very day, I settled into the studio apartment. Sophie, aren't you heading home? The last train leaves soon. A colleague reminded me to leave while I was finishing up some overtime work. Glancing at my remaining tasks, I declined. I relocated near the office. I'll head back after completing this. Amazing. Sophie, you finally made the smart choice. My coworkers had always considered my 2-hour daily commute wasteful and impractical. Learning about my move, we celebrated with late-night food after work. Arriving home, I collapsed into bed from exhaustion. The following evening after work, Jake's friend texted me, "Sophie, are you and Jake fighting? He's completely wasted and causing chaos at my apartment." I paused briefly before responding. We're not fighting. We ended things. He immediately sent in audio message with a condescending tone. Sophie, you're being unreasonable here. You know exactly how he is. He's threatened breakups countless times over. The years, when has he ever followed through? You always understood him. Before, why are you being so stubborn? Now, I'm giving you fair warning. Show up here with an apology, and he'll probably forgive everything and come home with you tonight. But if you keep this up and he actually goes through with ending things, don't come crying to anyone. Absolutely absurd. After all these years, even Jake's social circle assumed I was permanently trapped. Before I could reply, he ended the call. Then he forwarded me a location pin. I blocked his number immediately. Jake's friends had always maintained polite distance from me anyway, since Jake and I were finished maintaining connections. With his circles served no purpose. I tossed my phone onto the small mattress I had bought earlier that afternoon. The studio was bare, just my suitcase, the bed, and a temporary litter box side, fashioned from a cardboard box for pudding. It smelled like fresh paint and lemon floor cleaner, a sharp contrast to the suffocating scent of Jake's expensive cedarwood cologne that permeated every fabric of our old condo. Our condo? No, his condo. It had always been his. I curled up under the thin blanket. For the first time in 8 years, I didn't set my alarm 2 hours early. I didn't check the weather to see if I needed to lay out Jake's rain jacket. I didn't worry if the coffee beans were running low. I just closed my eyes. He's drinking himself to sleep right now. She's being so heartless. 8 years and she walks away over a litter box. Just wait until tomorrow. She'll wake up, crying and begging for him back. The floating comments drifted across the dark ceiling of my new apartment, glowing in a pale, intrusive blue. I stared right through them until they blurred into the shadows. Then I slept, and for the first time in as long as I could remember, I didn't dream of running after a train I could never catch. Day 4. By the 4th day, the silence from Jake's end was deafening, but my life had become surprisingly loud. In all the best ways, the extra hour of sleep revolutionized my mornings. I no longer arrived at the office with damp hair and a cortisol spike. I started wearing skirts I hadn't touched in years, because Jake used to say they drew the wrong kind of attention. I grabbed coffee with my colleagues, lingering over pastries instead of rushing back to my desk to secretly finish Jake's formatting for his quarterly reports, a habit I'd picked up to relieve his stress. But the withdrawal symptoms of a toxic relationship are insidious. I'd be in the middle of a spreadsheet and my chest would suddenly seize. I forgot to thaw the chicken. Panic would spike my heart rate before logic kicked in. I don't have to thaw the chicken. I can eat cereal for dinner. I can eat nothing. No one will scream at me. On Friday evening, the subtitles reappeared. While I was brushing my teeth, he finally went back to his apartment. Oh, God, he looks terrible. He hasn't shaved. He's wearing the same shirt from Tuesday. He saw the empty closet. He's breaking down. Look at his eyes. He's dropping to his knees. He genuinely thought she'd be sitting on the couch, waiting for him. This is the turning point. He realizes her worth now. Go home to him, Sophie. I spat the toothpaste into the sink, rinsed my mouth, and wiped my face. I looked at myself in the mirror. The dark circles under my eyes were already fading. The hollows of my cheeks looked less pronounced. If he was crying, he wasn't crying for me. He was crying because the phantom maid who maintained his pristine, consequence-free life had vanished. He was crying because he had dropped his toy, and the toy had the audacity to walk away. My phone buzzed on the counter. An unknown number. Sophie. The text read, I'm sick. I have a fever of 102. I can't find the medicine. Please A second text arrived. A moment later, I know I messed up, but I'm really sick, sophomore. I'm scared. My thumb hovered over the screen. 8. Years of conditioning screamed at me to order an Uber, to run to the pharmacy, to place a cool washcloth on his forehead while he sleepily kissed my palm and murmured that I was his angel. See, he's vulnerable. He needs you. The subtitles flashed frantically, large and bold, filling up the space in my small bathroom. He's literally begging. Hey. Man's pride is shattered, and he's reaching out to you. You won. I stared at the words, you won, as if surviving. His emotional abuse was a prize fight, and the trophy was a feverish man-child who only wanted me when he was in discomfort. I blocked the number. Then I walked over to the corner, picked up pudding, and buried my face in a soft orange fur. He purred, a deep, rumbling engine of unconditional contentment. We're having salmon tonight, buddy. I whispered. Week 3, the junior, whose name was apparently Chloe, lasted exactly 19 days as my replacement. I only knew this because my coworker, Sarah, who had a penchant for office drama and had long despised Jake, kept me updated on the social media fallout. We were having lunch at a Thai place near the office when Sarah slid her phone across the table. Look at this. She grinned, her mouth full of pad thai. The downfall is spectacular. It was a screenshot of Chloe's Instagram story. It was a close-up of a shattered plate on a hardwood floor, Jake's floor. The caption read, imagine being 28 years old, expecting a woman to do her laundry, after treating her like garbage and throwing a tantrum when she says no. Dodged a bullet. Triangular flag. Triangular flag. Triangular flag. Apparently, Sarah said, leaning in. Conspiratorially, he invited her over, expected her to clean up the depression nest he's been living in, and when she told him she wasn't his maid, he completely lost it, screamed at her, told her she was useless, and threw a plate. I looked at the image. I knew that floor. I knew that plate. I knew the exact tone of voice Jake used when he threw things. A chilling quiet crescendo that culminated in explosive violence. Usually it was aimed at the wall near my head. A cold shiver ran down my spine, followed instantly by a wave of profound, intoxicating relief. It wasn't me. All those years, he told me I triggered him. He told me that if I just loved him better, listened better, anticipated his needs better, he wouldn't get angry. He weaponized his childhood abandonment to make me the villain of his emotional dysregulation. But it wasn't me. It was just him. As I handed the phone back to Sarah, the subtitles flickered weakly in the periphery of my vision. He's just projecting. He was looking for Sophie and Chloe and got angry when she wasn't her. He's grieving the relationship. Men process grief through anger. Shut up, I muttered aloud. What? Sarah asked, blinking. Nothing. I smiled, taking a bite of my curry. Just talking to myself. This curry is amazing, by the way. The subtitles glitched as if struggling to maintain their signal before dissolving into thin air. They were appearing less and less lately. It seemed the audience of my tragic romance was losing interest now that the female lead refused to play her masochistic part. The confrontation, month 2. It happened on a rainy Tuesday. I had just walked out of my office building, an umbrella in one hand and a stack of approved project files in my tote bag. I had just been handed the lead on a major account. My career was skyrocketing without the dead weight of Jake's emotional crises anchoring me down. Sophie, the voice cut through the sound of the rain. I stopped. Jake stepped out from under the awning of a nearby coffee shop. He looked unrecognizable. The meticulously groomed, confident man who had ordered me out of my own home was gone. He had lost weight. His clothes hung loosely on him, slightly rumpled. He looked hollowed out, soaked from the rain. His eyes bloodshot and rimmed with dark shadows. Instantly, the air around me erupted in text. He found her. Oh my God. Look at him. He's completely destroyed. He's been waiting in the rain for hours. This is true love. Forgive him. He's suffered enough. The subtitles were huge, flashing in neon pinks and reds, desperately trying to sell me the romantic climax of a movie I no longer wanted to star in. Sophie, Jake rasped. Taking a step forward, he reached out as if to touch my arm, but I took a deliberate step back. His hand fell to his side, his face contorting in pain. Please, just 5 minutes. Let me talk. How did you know where I work, Jake? I asked, my voice steady. I was surprised by how calm I felt. My heart wasn't racing. My hands weren't shaking. Looking at him was like looking at an old photograph of a place I used to live, familiar but deeply distant. I asked Greg. Greg, ask Sarah from your accounting department. He stammered, wiping rainwater off his face. Soph, I'm so sorry. I'm so __ sorry. I was out of my mind. You were completely in your right mind when you told me to pack my things. I said simply, you knew exactly what you were doing. No. He stepped closer, his voice cracking. He didn't care that people walking by were staring. He was playing his trump card. Public vulnerability. I was terrified. You came home late and I thought I don't know, my brain went to the worst place. You know how I get. You know my history. Everyone leaves me, sophomore. My mom, my dad, and I panicked. I pushed you away before you could push me. He's explaining his trauma. He's self-aware. Now, he's bleeding his heart out. Hug him. Just hug him. The floating words were practically screaming at me. I looked at Jake. I looked at the tears, mixing with the rain on his cheeks. 8 years ago, this speech would have had me sobbing in his arms, apologizing for making him feel insecure, promising to never work late again. Jake, I said, softly. His eyes lit up with desperate hope. Yeah, baby, I'm here. I am not your mother. I am not your father, I said, my voice cutting through the rain like a silver blade. I was your partner. For 8 years, I swallowed every insult, every slammed door, every night spent shivering outside because you needed a punching bag for your trauma. You didn't push me away because you were scared I would leave. The hope in his eyes began to fracture. You pushed me away because you wanted to see if I would crawl back. I continued, feeling a profound, radiant heat rising in my chest, the fire of my own reclaimed dignity. You did it to break me down. You did it to prove you had total control over me. You loved the power of throwing me out, and you loved the ego trip of watching me beg to come back. That's not true, he cried, his voice pitching high with genuine panic. He realized the script had changed. He couldn't find his lines. I love you. I can't sleep, sophomore. I can't eat. The apartment is dead without you. I'm empty without you. You're not empty without me, Jake. You're empty because you're a black hole, I said. And I am done throwing my light into you. I adjusted my grip on my umbrella. Do not contact my coworkers again. Do not wait outside my office. If I see you near my apartment, I will file a restraining order. We are done. I turned on my heel and began to walk away. Sophie, he screamed, his voice echoing off the wet concrete. You're just going to throw away 8 years. You're going to abandon me like everyone else. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. Wait, she's actually leaving him. But he's crying. Isn't she being a little too harsh? He has abandonment issues. She's so cold. The subtitles tried to swarm my vision, trying to guilt me, trying to drag me back into the narrative of the compliant, self-sacrificing martyr. I stopped on the corner, waiting for the crosswalk light. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath of the rain-washed air, and opened them. I stared directly at the floating comments. I don't care, I said out loud. And just like that, the text shattered. It didn't fade. It broke. The letters cracked like frail glass, splintering into meaningless pixels before dissolving completely into the rain. The romanticized illusion, the toxic narrative that bound me to him, collapsed under the weight of the truth. The crosswalk light turned green. I stepped off the curb and walked into my future. 6 months later, winter gave way to spring, and spring bloomed into a blistering, vibrant summer. The studio apartment felt less like a temporary shelter and more like a sanctuary. I had painted one of the walls a deep, calming sage green. I bought a velvet armchair just for Pudding, who had grown plump and incredibly lazy. I filled the windowsill with succulents because, unlike a demanding man-child, plants thrived when you simply gave them water and sunlight. I was promoted to senior account manager in May. I bought myself a delicate, real gold necklace to celebrate. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a woman I hadn't seen since I was 20 years old. Her eyes were bright. Her posture was straight. She wasn't carrying the invisible, crushing weight of another person's emotional stability. Jake tried to contact me a few more times through various proxies. Once, a mutual friend from college tried to corner me at a cafe to tell me Jake had started therapy and really needed my support during his healing journey. I calmly told the friend that Jake's therapist was getting paid to handle his journey, and unless they were offering me an hourly rate of $300, I wasn't interested. The friend was so shocked by my bluntness that he left without ordering. Word quickly spread through Jake's circle that I'd gone crazy and cold. Let them think I was the villain. Being a villain in their story meant I got to be the hero in mine. The floating comments never returned. Not a single subtitle marred my vision. My reality was entirely my own, unfiltered, unedited, and unjudged by the phantom chorus of a toxic audience. The epilogue. It was a crisp afternoon in late September, exactly 1 year since I had dragged my suitcase out of Jake's condo. I was walking through the park near my office, a cup of artisan tea in my hand, enjoying the golden hue of the autumn leaves. I was supposed to meet Sarah and a few other coworkers for a celebratory dinner. We had just landed the biggest client in the firm's history. As I rounded the corner near the fountain, I saw him. Jake was sitting on a bench. He was dressed well, again, wearing a sharp navy coat. Sitting next to him was a young woman, maybe 22 or 23. She was pretty with wide, eager eyes. I stopped behind the cover of a large oak tree, invisible to them. I wasn't hiding out of fear. I was just curious, like observing an exhibit in a museum. The girl was holding 2 cups of coffee. She offered one to him, beaming. Jake took it without looking at her. He took a sip, frowned, and muttered something. The girl's face fell. Instantly, she scrambled to apologize, pulling a sugar packet from her purse. With frantic, trembling fingers, she was apologizing profusely, her shoulders hunched, making herself small. Jake just stared straight ahead, his jaw clenched, punishing her with a cold, unforgiving silence. He was doing to her exactly what he had done to me. The cycle was spinning again, a perpetual motion, machine of misery. For a brief second, I felt a pang of profound sorrow, not for him but for her. I knew the exact knot of anxiety sitting in her stomach. I knew the desperate calculations running through her mind, wondering how to fix a mood she hadn't broken. Run, girl, I thought, sending the silent message out into the universe. Run before it takes 8 years. Jake suddenly turned his head, scanning the park. For a split second, our eyes met across the distance. I saw the shock register on his face. I saw the immediate, desperate flash of longing and regret. He started to stand up, his mouth opening to call my name. The girl next to him looked confused, reaching out to touch his sleeve. I didn't flinch. I didn't run. I simply looked at him, feeling absolutely Nothing. Then I turned my back to him and walked away. The autumn wind rustled. The leaves above me. My phone buzzed in. My pocket, a text from Sarah with a picture of a champagne bottle at the restaurant. I smiled, my chest feeling light, expansive, and free. There were no subtitles narrating my steps, no phantom audience dissecting my choices. There was only the sound of my own footsteps moving forward, leaving the past exactly where it belonged.